Duophony is a parallel blender pedal that can be used to blend audio signals from two sources. For instance, you can blend a delay and reverb pedal to obtain sounds that you won't be able to get by connecting them in series, as you normally would. Another example is to combine two different fuzzes in parallel, two different preamp pedals, or various wet-dry or wet-dry-wet schemes. There are plenty other possibilities. We will show you in detail some typical applications of parallel blending later on in this video. Now we will first delve into basic operation and key features of this pedal. In a nutshell, here's how Duophony works. The input signal is split into three. One is routed to the X loop send jack, one is routed to the Y loop send jack, and one stays in the internal path. The output signal of the gear connected to the X loop is returned to Duophony through the return jack. The same happens with the Y loop. The two return signals are then blended together with adjustable mixing ratio. The third signal, the one capped in the internal signal path, is the clean signal that you can also add into the mix. Duophony has full stereo signal paths, but it will also work in mono if that's what you need. The input, the sends, and the return jacks are of TRS type. Use mono cables with TS jack to work with mono signals, or use stereo cables with TRS jack for stereo signals. In contrast, the output of Duophony has separate left and right output jacks. When connecting the input, sends, or returns to another gear that has separate left and right jacks, you can use dual mono to stereo cables, which have two TS jacks on one end and one TRS jack on the other. The central control in Duophony is the mix control. It controls the blending ratio between loop X and loop Y. Sliding clockwise gives more proportion to loop Y, while sliding counterclockwise will shift the blend proportion in favor of loop X. Note that the cyan colored light represents the proportion of loop Y signal in the mix, and green colored lights represent the proportion of loop X signal. Also note that there are actually two separate mix sliders, the top slider and the bottom slider. The top slider represents the left channel mix, and the bottom one represents the right channel mix. By default, they are synced together. So operating one slider will set the blending for both left and right channel at once. It's possible to adjust the blend ratio for the left channel independently to the right channel, and vice versa. To do that, place one finger on the touch button, then operate the slider while still holding the button. This gives unprecedented flexibility in sculpting stereo mixes. For example, you can hard pan loop Y to the right channel and hard pan loop X to the left channel, or anything in between. The clean signal that doesn't go through any of the loops, can be added to the mix as well. Tap the touch button once. Now the sliders have switched their roles to become the clean signal control, which is indicated by the blue colored light. At most counterclockwise position, the clean signal is muted, and at most clockwise position, you get the full clean signal volume. Tapping the touch button once more will return to the mix control function. So tapping the touch button toggles between loop mix control and clean signal control. Duophony provides individual gain control for loop X and loop Y. The gain control goes from -infinity dB or mute to +6 dB. You can use the gain control to fine-tune the overall volume balances across presets or between engage state and bypass state. Note that the gain knobs are also buttons that you can push. There are 4 basic actions you can do to the knobs: turn, tap, hold, and twist. As we have mentioned, turning the knob sets the gain. Tapping the knob will mute or unmute the loop. Duophony provides 3 blending modes. In the XY mix mode, loop X and loop Y are mixed proportionally. For example, if Y is set to 33%, X will be at 67%. This mode is marked by the light color violet. In the Y plus X mode, the mix control functions as a level control for loop Y. That is, Y goes from 0 to 100%, while X is always at 100%. So this mode is useful for adding an effect to another effect that is always on. This mode is marked by the LED color blue. The X plus Y mode is similar to the Y plus X mode, only now the role is swapped. X goes from 0 to 100%, while Y is fixed at 100%. This mode is marked by the LED color red. Y plus X and the X plus Y modes are especially useful when using Duophony with an expression pedal, as you can dynamically blend in an effect to another already existing effect or sound. Modes can be selected under the Options menu. Press and hold the X gain button for 2 seconds. Select Modes, choose the modes you want, then tap the button to save the change. As a side note, all the configurations in the Options menu are saved on per preset basis, thus you can use different blending modes on different presets. Duophony provides 2 routing options, parallel and series. In parallel routing mode, the effects placed in the X and Y loops are wired in parallel configurations, while in series routing mode, the effects are wired in series, as if Duophony wasn't even there. The routing options efficiently removes the setup rigidity and lets you switch back and forth between parallel and series on the fly. Routing options can be selected under the Options menu. There are 16 preset locations in Duophony, organized into 8 banks. Each bank has 2 patches, patch A and patch B. You can change banks by tapping both foot switches simultaneously, or turn any of the knobs to quickly go up and down the banks. When you reach the desired banks, tap foot switch A or foot switch B to call patch A or patch B in that bank respectively. To save the current settings into a preset, press and hold the X gain and the Y gain buttons together for 2 seconds. At the prompt, you can select the bank where you want to save the preset to using either knobs. When you reach the desired bank, tap foot switch A or foot switch B to save the preset into patch A or patch B in that bank respectively. There are two kinds of resets in Duophony. One is the factory reset, which will revert all the presets to factory settings, and the other is global resets, which reverts the global configurations to factory setting. To perform the factory reset, begin with the pedal powered down. Press and hold foot switch A while applying power to the pedal. Press foot switch A to confirm the reset or foot switch B to cancel. To perform the global reset, also begin with the pedal powered down. Press and hold foot switch B while applying power to the pedal. Press foot switch A to confirm the reset or foot switch B to cancel. To perform a firmware update, you will need to install the GFI Firmware Updater software, which is available for download on our website. Connect Duophony to your computer, then open the software. When the file is successfully loaded, Duophony will enter firmware update mode. Then start the update. When the update completes, Duophony will automatically restart.